Shalom, shalom. Giving honor and praise to the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. This particular short presentation will be regarding the matter of king, queen, ruling from a Hebraic aspect. Okay. What we are looking at here, all right, is the word melech, right? The mem, the segol, the lamet with the segol, the kaf sofit with the shawah within it. Melech in Hebrew means king, K-I-N-G, and it comes from the root word malak. The word malak means to reign. All right? So we just want to point that out in that particular aspect. Now, melech is a person, it's a noun. And the verb in root, as stated, is the word malak. All right? This here is a mem, lamed, kaf, wow, with the dagesh within it and a tau. Malkut. The word malkut means kingdom. Okay? So you have melech for king and malkut for kingdom. Alright? So that's something we want to emphasize in that particular case and in that particular regard. Now, this word here that we see is the word moleket. The mem, the kolam, the lamet with the segol, the kaf with the segol, and then the tau. Now these two things that you see here and here are just arrows pointing to the next word, okay? Moleket is a verb. This verb here means ruling or reigning in a feminine singular. Okay, so that's something we want to point out in that regard. Here we have the word Milkah. The mem, lamed, kaf, and the he. Milkah. The word Milkah means queen. So let's go over this again, if we will. Melech means king. Okay? Now, you can find this in the Bible in Deuteronomy chapter 17. Alright? Then we have the word here, malchut, meaning kingdom. You can find that in the Bible in 1 Chronicles chapter 17. Here we have the word, the verb, okay, moleket. You can find that in the Bible in 2 Kings 11. And here we have the word Milkah. And you can find that in the Bible in Numbers chapter 27. So, within the scriptures, you have it to where you have a male ruler, melech, malchut will be the kingdom where the male rules. Then you have moleket. Now, and many times in Israel, it is generally said that you don't have a woman as queen. But right in the book of 2 Kings 11, it says Atalia moleket, which means Atalia, she reigned, or Atalia reigns. All right? So, we can see that is the same root word from melech as in malak, which means to reign. Now, in most cases, when you're dealing with the female ruler, you will find, I'm going to put on top of here, this word here. The word gebira. Okay? Now, this word gebira, with the gamel, the bet, the yod, the resh, and the hey, that comes from the root word gabar. Gamel, bet, resh. Gabar in Hebrew means to win or to conquer. All right? So, geber means in many cases like a strong man. So a Gabira or a Gaberet would be a strong woman. All right? So this is something we just want to emphasize for edification purposes, if we will. All right? Again, you can find this in the Bible in Deuteronomy 17. You can find this in the Bible in 2 Chronicles 17. You can find Moleket in 1 Kings chapter 11. And Milkah, meaning queen, you can find that as one of the female names of the daughters of Zelophehad in the book of Numbers chapter 27. So that's something we just want to point out in that particular case. Okay? The next thing, thank you for the time, in this, that we want to sit there and talk about and deal with is the word in root here. All right? The word that you see here is the word nasa. All right. Now the word nasa, this is a verb, which means to lift, to carry, or to marry. All right. And what we want to discuss in this, being a verb, it begins with the letter nun. The letter nun, when you conjugate this within the future tense, all right, the nun drops out. This is also treated as a lamed aleph verb. Now, I'm going to have as the thumbnail Hebrew is Easy Volume 3, because that's when I discuss what pay nun verbs are and lamed aleph verbs are. All right, but what we want to do in this particular case, right, is look at this here, brothers and sisters. We have this word here. Sorry about that. Yisa. This is the future tense word. Yisa means he will lift or he will carry. All right? So that's what we want to talk about in that particular regard. The nun drops out, and then you got the yod here serving as the third person. Future tense. Okay? And we have this word here, okay? Now, this particular word here is the word nasi. The word nasi is generally translated as the word prince. But if we already know that nasa means to lift, to carry, to marry, or in some cases to take. You understand, for instance, in the Bible, when it says, you shall not take the holy name in vain, in Exodus 20, it says, lo tisa. That would be, this yod will be transformed to a tau. All right? You shall not take. Lo tisa et shame. You shall not take the name of. All right? Now, this word here, nasi, it still has the nun, the sin, and the aleph, but the interjection of the letter yod. And what this means, as generally pointed out, is the word prince. But, as stated, knowing that the root of this, or the verb form of this, is nasa. Nasa meaning to lift, to carry, or to marry, or to take. Nasi means that which is exalted, or that which is lifted up. So in English, it makes sense to say as aspect of prince. You understand? But we want to point out that even before there was said a king ruling in the house of Israel on a human level, there was already people known as the Nisi'im, or the princes. You see that within the book of Numbers itself. Okay? Now, you go to, in Genesis chapter 23, you see where one of the patriarchs was called the Nasi. Generally translated as prince or great man. Point being is this. A prince in Israelite understanding is not one that's necessarily the son of a ruling monarch. All right? So that's something we want to point out in that particular case. It simply means one, brothers and sisters, that is lifted up or that is exalted. Okay? So Hopefully that is understood from a Hebraic aspect of Melech, Moleket, Milkah, and Nasi. All right? Feel free to comment with any questions or so. Shalom.